that the audio is working. Excuse me, hope everybody's doing well this Friday. We're hanging out, we're doing a live stream. I'm going to talk to some people, see how we're all doing. I've got some birthday announcements to make, but let me do a quick. We're good. Our audio's working. Okay. All right, and we're on. Okay, welcome. Hope everybody's doing well. Let's chat about Freemasonry. Any thoughts you have on Freemasonry? Positive, negative, or neutral? I'd love to hear them. Want to make a special birthday announcement or anniversary announcement. Pick your term in just 1 second once I pull it up. Let's wait for a few minutes though. Let's see who finds us. What's up, your local Spurs? I'm doing well. How are you doing? Great is good. I don't know if you're dealing with any cold weather on your neck of the woods. It's very cold throughout a lot of North America at the moment, at least a lot of America and Canada, including where I'm at. So if you are cold, please, please, please take care of yourself. Be safe. There's usually warming centers within the within different towns and communities. So find them. I posted for Windsor, Essex, some of the Windsor specifically, some of the warming centers, which I hope you'll be able to track down. So yeah, I hope everybody's doing well. Okay, so yeah, New Mexico, not so much. Not so much for you. I mean, 40 degrees. I mean, I never mind cold, to be honest. For me, what I hate is, what I've always hated is snow, especially lately, because it's such a pain in the butt to wheel through, like in my wheelchair. Trying to get through it is never easy. So I don't like the snow at all, but I don't mind cold weather. I am a Freemason. Oh, the degree question. I always get that degree question. I'm a third degree Master Mason, which is the highest degree in Freemasonry. I'm also 18th degree Scottish Rite. So there you go. But what actually matters, again, is third degree Master Mason. That is the highest degree within Freemasonry, despite what some say about 32nd, 33rd, all that, which those are Scottish Rite degrees, which is an appendant body. Don, Dada, please take a moment, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Consider perhaps doing a super chat, even 99 cents. Helps other people find the stream. We're going to be hanging out and waiting to see who joins us. As always, I do have some discussion points, but I want to wait to see who joins. Marks, it's not okay to do either of those things. Don't do either of those things. Be cool. Well, thank you, Sean. I'm happy if I can brighten anybody's day. I think we all these days need a little bit of brightening. So I think that times are rough out there for a lot of people. So if I can brighten anybody's day, all the better. I do not know what you and Mark do together, Codex, but if you're talking about peeing in the pool or peeing into the pool, do not do it. Do not pee in the pool. Do not pee into the pool. I am very comfortable telling you you should not do either of those things. So let's just all calm down. What you should do is hit the like and subscribe button. If you want to, you can hit it together or hit the subscribe button at the same time. If you can try to, times it out or coordinate yourselves. Yes, I am a Freemason, Skylar. I've been a Freemason since 2007, so 20 years, which is crazy to think it's been that long. Or I guess 19 years, technically. I'm currently the Worshipful Master of Border Cities Lodge number 554, past master of a couple other lodges as well. RH, if you have any questions, by all means, I'd love to hear them. I mean, again, I don't have any specific topics. Rather, I just wait to see what people want to talk about and answer their questions about Freemasonry, any questions they may have. Try to dispel any rumors or ideas. I do have a couple of mentions and topics, though, I do want to give today. But I usually wait until about an hour in. Good afternoon, MD. Um, Skylar, that's a good question. Freemasonry is a civic or community organization or group, the largest portion of which is fraternal, so like a fraternity, but there is also Freemasonry and Masonic groups for women, but it's a civic or community group or a community club. It's a clubhouse, basically. Yes, I am Mr. Potato. Please hit like and subscribe. King, if you ask the same thing too many times, do I put you in timeout? I mean, all right, King, I'm gonna put you in timeout, I think. Freemasonry was founded in 1717. Well, actually, it started a little bit before that, but the first Grand Lodge, anyways, started June 24th of 1717. It evolved from stonemason guilds of the Middle Ages. Well, you're not triggering me, liberal, but I am going to put you in a times out because you need to calm down with that nonsense. Freemasonry is not a political organization. We have liberals, conservatives, left, right, um, whatever other types of political stances you want to say. We in Freemasonry are not political. So you need to keep that in mind and remember that. What do you mean by fought, the douche? I don't know what that means. Do you mean like physically fought? No, although I've definitely got into some heated arguments with Freemasons because we're individuals, we're different people. We have different ideas, different beliefs, different ways you want to go about things. I think one of the greatest strengths of Freemasonry is it teaches you that even with those whom you disagree, and even to those or with those to whom you have very strong disagreements, you are still absolutely possible and capable of working together with common good. Even those that you may get into very heated arguments with. There have been some times where I thought, might get into a fist fight with a Mason, depending on how high the passions were going. But I think if, one of the greatest skills you learn in Freemasonry is the ability to work with people of different beliefs, even those you may not necessarily like, but you still have to respect. And that's one of, I think, the greatest strengths of Freemasonry, learning how to respect people. I am, Jesus, okay, Odin, we are not at war with intelligence or children. Square, so you're Prince Hall, affiliate Mason in Montgomery? Welcome, Square Biz. Thank you for being here. David the Plumber, I like the idea of brotherhood as well. I like the idea of universal brotherhood and universal tolerance. I think that is one of the great things about Freemasonry. All right, we do not have Odin. I've never once seen a placenta in a lodge, nor any blood in a lodge. You are looking at a whole bunch of nonsense. Austin, okay, yes, I got a big forehead. So Jennifer, one of the questions we always get is about women Freemasons. There is the Order of Women Freemasons, which is actually very popular right now in England. It's actually, there have been women Freemasons for longer than women had the right to vote in the United Kingdom. They also exist in Ontario. There's also Order Eastern Star, which is for men and women. And there is Co-Masonry, which is a liberal Masonic order. So, no, because I'm perfect just the way I am. Yep, a lot of haters. You get used to it, Mr. Works. I do not know anything about the Anunnaki and Emerald. Eastern Star, Odin, if you're talking about the order of men and women Freemasons. I think, honestly, the connection to women and Freemasonry doesn't get a lot of attention, not as much as it should. I mean, for years, I would always say Freemasonry is a fraternity and that there's no such thing as women Freemasons, but that's not true. There's plenty of examples of women involved in Freemasonry, either the Order of Women Freemasons or Eastern Star, right? We do not pray to Baal. Freemasonry is not a religion, so we do not pray. We do not pray to any entities. Freemasonry is not a religion. It's a civic group. Yes, Jay Beck. right? Masons is a club for connection. It's not exclusively for connection. People join it for a variety of different reasons. Connection is just one of the reasons somebody may become a Freemason. But ultimately, it's a club. It's a civic and community group. It's a formalized guys' night out. It's something I love. I've been a Mason for 20 years, 19 really, but I've loved it. However, some people love it, some people don't. Bill, I would never disrespect Allah, nor would I disrespect anyone's religious beliefs. I'm a very big believer in religious tolerance, as is Freemasonry. One of the things I love about Freemasonry is, in many ways, it is the original organization that promoted religious tolerance. I do not know what the deal with Baal is, because I don't know what that is. I mean, I think it's another name for Satan, but I don't know for sure. I got my coffee, Mr. Keeps. I hope you're doing well. Thank you for being here. Freemasonry is not evil, roll the losing dice. Freemasonry is a community group or community club organization. It occupies the civic space. I do not know what the con job capital means. Freemasonry is not a con. It is just a group, community club, community organization, and it is not evil. I mean, David Solomon, more power to you. Well, there's a lot of different reasons, Funk Congress, why it is that people tend to convey Freemasonry with quote unquote creepy things. Most people don't, in fairness. Most people don't think about Freemasonry at all, right? One way or the other. But it's ultimately conspiracy theories that come from social media, Hitler back in the day. It started before social media, people tying in Freemasonry to different conspiracy theories as a way to create an enemy that they could exploit. And then eventually, once the internet came, you could take those old theories, get them to a whole new audience. Somebody said here above, and I missed it. Ferps asked, Space Lagoon, if only more people had a greater sense of civic duty. I would agree. I would even say if only more people had a sense of civic community or just community in general. I think the extent to which a society grows strong is through strong civic institutions. And that's one of the reasons why I'm so proud to be a Freemason and support Freemasonry, because I believe that civic institutions is what strengthens a society. They talk about this a lot in Bowling Alone, which is a great book. I'd suggest everybody read it if they get the chance. It's a great book, and it really does a great job at expressing kind of why we need civic and community engagement. Ferps asked, do I support Israel? I support the people of any country. I never believe in conflating the people of a country with the governments. I'm proud to be a member of a lodge in Israel, Lodge Holy Land number 50 out of Tel Aviv. The government, I have some very different opinions on, but the people I support. Dad is right, though. It's hard to do civic duties when it's this cold. That's a very good point. Keep yourself warm, keep yourself safe. Again, first, I support the people of any country or any area, any whatever, pick your term, including the Palestinian people. And I wish them, I mean, I don't know because I never experienced it firsthand, but I can only imagine how challenging it is to be living in, for example, Gaza right now. And my heart breaks for them for whatever it's worth. Minus 30, minus 40. I mean, I don't know if you're being sarcastic or not, Odin, but I'm a huge believer in the KISS principle. When I try to explain things like Freemasonry, I try to keep it simple, stupid, because you don't want to complicate things. I don't think evil's on my side, Scott. Please hit the like and subscribe button. By the way, I was going to mention one anniversary coming up. It's actually today and tomorrow. Can people donate to your channel? Asked Justin Doucette. People can donate to my channel. You can do a super chat 99 cents, a dollar, $50, whatever you want, doesn't matter. You can do a super chat. You can also become a Patreon member. I did do my super chat. This college drives me crazy. I did do a civic duty doing the Salvation Army bell ringing. I realized I've been doing it for almost 20 years. Actually, more than that, probably 21, 22 years. I started it in 2005 when I lived in Ottawa. I think that a lot of Masonic lodges, they actually organize the bell ringing every year. So a lot of lodges, including one here in Windsor, every year we'll do some bell ringing. So, get out Salvation Army. I mean, Odin, that's a very strange things to say. What difference with Freemasons and Oddfellows? It's me, Tyson. Well, they're separate groups, they're separate organizations. They're both clubs, but it's kind of like what's the difference between my club and your club? They're just different clubs. Ultimately, the Oddfellows does have a significant number of, or borrowed a significant number of kind of structures and ideas from Freemasonry. A lot of back in the day Oddfellows were Freemasons as well. So, yeah, but they're separate clubs and organizations. It's like asking, what's the difference between the Masons and the Moose or the Elks? I've been well, say what you mean. How are you doing? I mean, and they're both excellent organizations. Obviously, I'm a Freemason, so my heart is with Freemasonry, and I love it. But I've known a lot of Oddfellows, and they're good dudes as well. So I'd say maybe consider if you ever want to get involved in civic life or community life or join a club, why not consider joining both if you have the time, and the Elks as well. I mean, yeah, I cannot imagine being without shelter on this cold weather. I did post some things on my Facebook page about like warming centers that they've opened up because they do have an extreme cold warning right now in Windsor, and so I would absolutely, I hope everybody finds shelter because it's freezing. I don't know about the Oddfellows, Moose, and Elks. I mean, the Oddfellows Funk Congress do perform rituals, to my knowledge. I don't know about the Moose and the Elks. So, I mean, I can't say. I'd imagine they do. Almost every organization performs some type of ritual or ceremonies. So, to my knowledge, they do. Freemasons do a ton of stuff for the local community, Nam Roth. I mean, Masonry is not a charity. However, it does engage in a lot of charitable activities. In the United Kingdom, a great one to look at is the Masonic Charities Foundation or Masonic Charitable Foundation, which raises money for a variety of causes, research on medical concerns, cancer research, dementia, caregivers. Every year, different lodges will organize, canned good drives, bring in canned goods for a soup kitchen or a like a food, like a community kitchen type of thing, food bank. They do the bell ringing for Salvation Army. I know some lodges that organize, they'll volunteer at a soup kitchen every Christmas. It all depends on the lodge and what they want to do. But I also think within Freemasonry, we do things for the community in a not so direct way, right? I mean, everybody thinks of, doing something for the community as being charitable with money or time. But there's other ways that we help the community. I've given this example before. I've known Masons who would be homeless were it not for Freemasonry stepping in and assisting them with, paying money for their rent, for their mortgage. That doesn't just help that brother, that helps the whole community because that's one less person who now is on the street. That's one less person who now needs to take advantage of not take advantage, but use a shelter, use community resources, use a food bank, use social assistance. I've known Freemasonry to help people who are sick or who are ill find, by going to see them, getting to know them, spending time with them. Those are social determinants of health, which means people are healthier because they're a Freemason. If they're healthier, they can focus more and spend more time on their community, and contributing to that community, right? Freemasons, and we also, I think, demonstrate and provide an example for a community, how to get along with people of different political beliefs, of different religious beliefs, of different backgrounds, races, languages for that matter, to recognize that we are all connected beyond simply civil institutions. We are all brothers. Even, women, we're all brothers under this big umbrella called humankind. One of the most difficult things I've noticed recently in the chat, and it does concern me, is people are saying on the chat, how can you get along? How can you be part of an organization and get along with people of different races and different, different races and different ethnicities or different religions? And when I was growing up, it was always just understood that, Canada, where I'm from, Canadian isn't based on your religion. It's not based on your background. It's not based on your skin color. We're welcoming to everybody. And now that we have this question again of how can I get along with somebody of a different religion or race, the fact people are asking that question in the chat really concerns me, because it makes me think that we're losing that tolerance. And I think Freemasonry provides an example for everybody of the value of tolerance. In fact, one of my favorite paragraphs ever written, just in general, was the paragraph or the section entitled "Of God and Concerning God and Religion" in the Anderson Constitutions, where it talks about what matters is to be a good man and true, and to be honorable, and thereby men who would be perpetually strangers are able to know one another. Thank you, Lives AM or Live Sam. Prayers for you as well. I hope you'll hit the like and subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it. Sean, hairline depends. I know plenty of Canadians who are not so liberal, right? Canada has a wide variety of political beliefs. I do think in general, compared to the States, we trend more toward the left. Steak_eggs. I am a Freemason. I've been a Freemason for 20 years. Almost 20 years, 19 years. All right, Odin, you keep saying the same thing. I have to put you in timeout for a little bit. You need to calm down a bit. I don't mind people saying their piece. However, if you're going to repeat the same thing over and over again, it gets a bit much. Gosh, who said what to me? Chaos for you. We do not worship Lucifer. Please hit the like and subscribe button. Winnipeg Freemasons do cancer car rides for cancer patients. That's another perfect example of what Freemasons do for the community. And they don't just give rides to people who are Masons, right? That's an important thing to remember. They give car rides for anybody, Masons or non-Masons. What rite? I am emulation ritual. I joined Scottish Rite, which is the appendant body. Okay, welcome. Two Kinds of Love. It's great meeting you as well. I'm not sure if I remember you because I can't see your profile pic well, but I'm sure it was really good meeting you. And there you go. I mean, I leaned more conservative, at least in my younger years. I've changed a little bit lately, but yeah. Chaos for you. We do not worship Lucifer. Very sorry to disappoint you. Please hit like and subscribe. I have been to Scotland. I don't know what you mean by the main meeting. There is no main meeting. I think what you mean is annual communication, but those are jurisdictional. But I have been to Scotland. I was there last year in October. Beautiful country, beautiful people. Okay, I loved the 150th gala. I absolutely loved it. I had a blast. Nothing but respect for the Grand Lodge of Manitoba for doing some excellent, excellent job. They will not cut out my tongue. My tongue is perfectly fine within my body, and I'm a Master Mason. So here's the thing. I'm not going to confirm or deny anything that's quote unquote in a book, Chaos for You, but I am going to tell this story. You can take it for whatever it's worth. I was a probation officer for many years, but before that, I worked in a legal aid clinic. And one of the things I did very commonly was landlord-tenant disputes. right? So I worked with people who were getting evicted from their apartments, trying to keep them in there, against the landlord. And I once had this client who was being evicted for non-payment of rent. And she was saying that she did pay her rent and the landlord was lying. So, but anyways, I'm talking to her. She says, I paid my rent. And I'm saying the landlord says, you didn't. Anyways, at one point she goes, if I'm lying, I'll rip out my tongue and may God, strike me dead. Now, she didn't mean literally that she would rip out her tongue, or literally she expected a thunderbolt to come through the ceiling and strike her dead. She was saying it metaphorically. She was trying to make a point about how important what she was saying is to her and how truthful she was being. So sometimes people say things like that. It's metaphorical, it's not literal, right? You need to keep that in mind. Well, I've read the books too, dude, although I'm not sure I'm fine if you call me dude. Funk Congress. So I think when you say Black Lodges, you're referring to Prince Hall. Freemasonry, I wouldn't use the term believe because Freemasonry is not a religion, so it's not a belief system. But whether you are Prince Hall Mason or, AF and AM, Ancient Free and Accepted, or Free and Accepted, like whatever Masonic body you belong to, if it's recognized, then it's recognized, and you're a Mason, and you're my brother. So Prince Hall are my brothers. I can visit their meetings. They can visit mine. I have nothing but respect for Prince Hall Freemasonry. It's a wonderful organization and a great part of the Masonic family. You don't want to ask the question belief, right? Do Black Lodges believe the same? What you want to say is, are Prince Hall lodges regular? That's the way, I think that's what you're trying to ask. Are they regular? And they are. Prince Hall is a regular part of Freemasonry. Albert Pike is one person who wrote Morals and Dogma. What he said does not apply to Freemasonry in the same way that what I'm saying does not apply to all of Freemasonry. These are my opinions, my thoughts on Freemasonry, which you can agree with or disagree with. I don't think the Freemason symbol looks like a hexagram. I mean, the Freemason symbol is a square and compass, right? The Freemason symbol, or compasses, the Freemason symbol is this, right? Well, if it did, Chef, which it might not, for the record, what difference would that make? Every Freemason needs to believe in a supreme being. What that supreme being is up to them, right? It could be that they believe in Allah and Jesus. They could be Jewish. They could be indigenous, Hindu, Sikh, whatever it might be. Scott, again, 33rd degree Albert Pike does not speak for Freemasonry. He speaks for one version of it, his version of it, his philosophy behind it, right? It's a part of Freemasonry, but judging the whole based on one book is silly, especially when it's somebody's philosophy, not someone's actual, like, in no bylaws or constitution have I ever seen Albert Pike referenced in any craft lodge. Well, no. I mean, I don't have many masters. Thank you, the draftsman. That's incredibly kind of you. I don't know what you mean by many masters. I mean, within Freemasonry, there are master masons. I'm a master mason. But that's in the same way you have master, like electricians, master, like it's not literally, but it's referencing in the Middle Ages when you had stonemasons, you had master masons who were the most skilled at stonework. A master mason is someone who's reached the third degree, meaning they are skilled the art of Freemasonry. Doesn't mean they're my master literally. And then you have a worshipful master in the lodge, but that's like a CEO. To the extent that he's anyone's master, it's for a couple hours during a lodge meeting. And even then, he doesn't get to tell people what to do or how to vote. He just needs to make sure the votes are done correctly and properly. Kabbalah, I mean, I wouldn't use the term infiltrated. Freemasonry definitely borrowed a lot from Judaism, including Kabbalah, but it also borrowed a lot from Stoic philosophy, Christianity, Muslims, like the Islamic faith, architecture, stone Masonic guilds. I mean, good poets borrow, great poets steal, to use the term from T.S. Eliot. And, well, you're still here, so you can think I'm a liar, that's fine, but you're still sticking around. Um, well, I mean, occult symbolism, I mean, your bank account is occult information, right? Occult just means hidden. Unfortunately, it's taken on a more ominous term because of Hollywood and movies, I think. But at the end of the day, yeah, like all of these things, you could argue they're occult if you want. I wouldn't call them that, but these are some tools that we use in Freemasonry, metaphorically, not literally. This is the past master's jewel. Um, I've got a whole bunch of symbols here. Let's see if I can show this to you guys. I hate taking this thing off because it's such a pain in the butt to see if you can see this. There you go. So yeah, I got a whole bunch of, symbols tattooed. Every year, me and my friends go to get a tattoo together. We all get, different Masonic tattoos. Um, for my godchild. The T is for my godchild. And pink because it is both my favorite color, their favorite color, and also Brett the Hitman Hart. Um, Greatest, one of my favorite pressure wrestlers of all time. Hero Moto, well, hit the like and subscribe button. We'll just ignore that comment for the time being. Well, what's interesting is, Scott, I talked about the Knights Templar a little bit yesterday. I talked about Chevalier Andrew Michael Raymond, Ramsay, Andrew Michael Ramsay, excuse me, who in 1737 gave an oration to a bunch of new initiates connecting the history of Freemasonry to the history of the Knights Templar. Actually, he connected it to the Crusades, but eventually it got changed to the Knights Templar. However, I'm one who believes it wasn't that there's a straight connection between the two. Rather, the Knights Templar existed until 1307, 1308. Then Freemasonry formed a few hundred years later and looked back to the Knights Templar as a source of inspiration and a source of lessons that could be gleaned, and then added those to Masonic rituals and Masonic rites. So, Chef, everything in Freemasonry is not based on Solomon's Temple. Look, Solomon is an important figure within Freemasonry. There's no question about that. I actually talked about him a couple streams ago and asked the question whether he was a mythological figure, a historical figure, a theological figure, or some combination of all of the above. And also the evidence for him. Look, there's no question King Solomon is an important figure within Freemasonry. However, he's not the exclusive important figure, nor is everything based on him. You always want to be careful when you say things like Freemasonry is based on X or Freemasonry is based on Y. Freemasonry is based on a variety of different histories, traditions, symbols, ideas from a variety of different time periods, a variety of different locations. That's one of its greatest strengths, is how much it borrowed from how many different areas and locations. And again, histories and traditions. It's not too proud to borrow, nor should any group organization be. I mean, I don't know. I know a little bit about the Temple of Solomon. I don't know what the Temple of Solomon order is, but, the first temple in Jerusalem, I know a little bit about it, at least metaphorically. Again, I don't know necessarily whether it ever really existed or not. I think a lot of archaeologists are still unsure as well, or historians, whether it truly existed or whether it is a theological kind of concept. We take obligations, Chef. That doesn't mean we take oaths. You can call it an oath if you want. I call it an obligation. But many organizations require the taking of an oath or an obligation. Do you not go to your doctor because they take the Hippocratic Oath? Oaths are a valuable way to to create bonds of brotherhood in a group of individuals, whether it be a profession like doctors, whether it be the military, whether it be a club, whether it be a civic or community organization. Um, you want to try to create bonds of brotherhood, professional or otherwise. Obligations or oaths are one way to do so. Um, yes, Mr. Courtney, welcome, and it does. I'm doing well, John. How are you? I'm not sure what you mean by top order. Again, I've not heard of any Temple of Solomon order. Um, two kinds of love. Yes, two kinds of love. I agree with that completely. You know, it's not that Freemasonry is inherently a charity, but rather Freemasonry, I've used this argument a million times. Freemasonry illuminates certain values and certain ideals. It's no different than being a football player, right? So, um, if you are on a football team, you are going to learn certain values. You're going to learn the value of teamwork, sacrifice, dedication, physical fitness, sportsmanship, being part of a team, right? And all of those things can help you live a better life outside of playing football. Freemasonry is the same thing. It teaches you things like tolerance, respect, able to work out disagreements, brotherhood, teaches you some skills in terms of things like confidence, public speaking, conflict resolution in some cases. And all of those things can help you in other areas of your life, including in some cases your faith. Um, I think I have emotion. I don't know. Ant illusion official. I think it's anti-illusion official. I think I've got emotions, but who knows? Wendell, I am not from Portugal. I'm Canadian, born and raised in Canada, Winnipeg and Ontario. My pops is from England, so there you go. Illuminati do not exist. Illuminati, they were formed in 1777 by Adam Weishaupt. Really, there haven't been anything of relevance for over 100 years to my knowledge. I'm not aware of any Illuminati organizations in existence. Um, but there you go. Thank you, John. I try to be a good dude. Please hit like and subscribe. Well, I'm not going to denounce Freemasonry, so very sorry, anti-illusion. I have no plans of denouncing Freemasonry. In terms of this idea of crying out to Jesus, I'm not Christian personally, but I do know many Christian Freemasons. I would say the majority of Masons I've met are of the Christian faith. They have no issue being both a Christian and a Freemason, and nor should anybody else. Freemasonry is not a religion, so you can be completely faithful to your religious beliefs and also be a Freemason. In the same way, you can be completely faithful to your religious beliefs and be part of a knitting club. At no point, and I've been a Mason for 20 years, I've seen thousands of Masonic events all around the world. At no point have I ever seen anything in any Masonic ritual or event that would be, against one's religious or civic or familial or even work responsibilities. Um, Lion of Allah, well, you're on my stream, so I get to say what I so choose, including that Freemasonry does not conflict with anyone's religious beliefs. And I think that's the greatest strength of it. What's wrong with the tattoo? I love my tattoos. I've got a whole bunch of tattoos, and I love them all. Most of them are Masonic. This one is for scary movies. If you know, you know. But yeah, I'm very fond of this tattoo. Fond of all my tattoos. Most of them have a Masonic connection to it. Again, in Freemasonry, I know plenty of Masons who would never get a tattoo. But that's not because, Masonry tells them not to. That's just because they don't like tattoos personally. Well, if horror movies are against the Christian faith, then, that would make me sad because I love scary movies. They're my favorite things outside of Freemasonry. I've watched them a million times. I can tell you this. I've known many. I mean, I don't want to speak for the Christian faith. I don't think that's fair. I can only speak from my experiences, which is I've known many Freemasons who are Christian, and at no point have it ever seemed to me that they had any contradiction or felt any contradiction between the two. I've seen dozens of Masonic oaths and obligations. At no point have I ever heard one glorifying demons. So I don't know what you're talking about, but that seems like nonsense. It is possible because I've met them. In fact, I once knew a Mason who was very active in his church as a deacon. Now, you can believe me or not believe me, that's up to you. But, you know, well, I can tell you the one who was leading his church definitely did read the Bible. He read it every Sunday, or at least parts of it every Sunday. I'm sure he read the whole thing at least a couple of times. So you can believe me or not believe me. That's not an issue. But again, it's my 20 years of experience in Freemasonry. I think lends me some credence in this. Yes, brain fog. I got to say, I think you're spending too much time watching conspiracy nonsense and reading books that you don't understand. I mean, I can't speak for Christianity. I can speak for my experiences and my understanding of Christianity being there does not seem to be any contradiction between the two. Erizu, welcome. Thank you for being here. Please hit like and subscribe. So obviously on these days, Mondays through Fridays at 1 p.m., I do these live streams. I chat about Freemasonry, answer questions, but then I also have specific topics. Usually about an hour in is when I get to it. My wife's boyfriend, well, is your wife's boyfriend a subscriber to this channel? Because that's the better question. And if he's not, why not? What's wrong with them? Hit that like and subscribe button. Well, I mean, I'm not making a false claim that I've known many Christian Freemasons. Now, whether you think that they're doing something against the Christian faith, I guess is your right to believe that if you so choose. But I can say they do not. And the fact I met so many of them, I tend to lean more on their side than yours. Actually, I am working on a few guests. The last guest I had was Julian Reese, if I recall correctly, who was the winner of the AVDA Arcana Veritas Distinction Award for writing a work about the tracing boards of Freemasonry. I am considering another author, which I just need to get their information, but I'm trying to get more Masonic authors on the channel soon. Let me see. But yeah, I do try to do interviews as well. Outside of these live streams are more just me mixing up with people on the stream and talking to them and answering their questions. But I do try to do interviews as well. The last one I did was 3 weeks ago. Brother Julian Reese. I also did one with Brother Andy Albright, Roland Prince. So I'm working on it. We do not, John. We do not. What am I doing for dinner tonight? I have no idea. Would it matter what gender I was? I mean, I'm a Freemason. That's what matters. So there you go. Clay dopamine. One piece of advice for the next generation. Oh my gosh. Hit the like and subscribe button. I would say, no, on a serious note, one piece of advice. Don't take for granted the necessity of civic institutions. If we in Freemason, not just Freemasonry, but if our societies are going to prosper, we need to have a strong sense of community that needs to go beyond what we believe, you know, how we pray, how we look, how we speak. We need to be welcoming to everybody. Otherwise, I don't think society is going to make it. So don't take those things for granted would be my advice for whatever it's worth. For whatever it's worth. I love fish fries. I mean, Do you mean like on the channel, like do an interview? Probably. It'd be an interesting interview if nothing else. Um, I'm not one who believes in demons or exorcisms or anything like that, right? I'm not one who believes in the supernatural. Having said that, I'm sure it'd be interesting to talk to him. Um, I'm sure it'd be nothing else, a fascinating perspective. Um, yes, I agree. I also love and respect everyone who hits the like and subscribe button, so please do so. Hello, Pablo. Thank you for being here as well. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're all looking forward to a great weekend. Keep yourselves warm, though. It is freezing out there, so keep yourselves warm. Um, Honestly, I love seafood. Seafood's my favorite thing. When it comes to fish, though, I don't like fish and chips. Or I don't like British style fish and chips where they have the like really thick batter. I really prefer like I like fish that's fried but in like a thin coating. My mom used to make fish and French fries, and I really like those because they were like it was like a thin coating of breadcrumbs. That's the best way to do it. Um, by far. We're gonna wait another 15 minutes, then we're gonna get in here and start chatting about British food is great. Brain fog. What are you talking about? I was in England and I had or Scotland, and I had haggis, neeps, and tatties. Pretty good. There is no connection between there's no connection between missing children and Freemasonry. Um, Other than, actually, one thing I will say, if you want to say there's a connection, Freemasons are actually in various jurisdictions take steps to try to protect children from going missing in Ontario it's called the Child Identification Program or the CHIP program, where basically what they do is they will, with the parents or guardians permission of course, they will create a package, like they'll meet with a parent and the kid, it's oftentimes at a public event like a fair, and create a package which will have all sorts of information about the child, their like information, voice recording, pictures. They don't keep any of it. It all goes to the parents, who then, if heaven forbid the child goes missing, something happens, they call the police. They have this information to give to the police, and it helps the police find the kids quicker because they have information already. The parents aren't running around trying to get like pictures ready and trying to get fingerprints of the kids if they've got any anywhere and trying to remember all their different information. They've actually got all the information they need in one place, and it's a lot easier for the police to try to find anyone who's missing. They're not only doing that for kids, they also do that for adults suffering from dementia. So if you're an older individual, and let's say you are suffering from dementia and you're prone to wander off, you can get one of those packages created for you to give to your caregiver. And that way, if you do wander off, again, you call the police. The police are given this package, and it's got all your information on there, voice recordings, fingerprints, pictures, relevant medical information. And that way the police have an easier time trying to find you. They can even, send it out to the public and say, we're looking for so-and-so. This is a picture. This is relevant information. It makes it easier to try to find anyone who's gone missing, be it a kid or an adult. Yeah, CHIP programs are great programs. I don't like to use the term CHIP. They're trying to tell us not to because conspiracy theorists hear that and then they go crazy. So I try to call it the Child Identification Program. Squid is a fish. I think. I love squid. Actually, I love squid. Chef, I'm sure Jesus does love me. Again, I wouldn't call myself Christian per se, but nothing but respect for Christians, nothing but respect for Christian Freemasons. Christianity occupies a religious space. Freemasonry occupies a civic space or a civil space. So you need to keep that in mind. We're not selling recipes, David Solomon. Unless you want to start your own channel, then you can try to sell your recipes that way. But yes, the CHIP program, the Child Identification Program, is a great program. I actually got Copy. The other thing to keep in mind about that is for extra safety, everyone who volunteers for a CHIP program or child identification program has to have their police clearance. So before I volunteered, I had to get mine. I kept it. To my knowledge, it doesn't go bad, but I think every couple of years you have to renew it, I think, if I recall correctly. I don't know if you have to get a brand new one or if you can just sign a paper saying like nothing has changed. It's if you're volunteering, like I got mine for free because I'm volunteering. Um, if I recall correctly, I got it for free. Have to double check that to be honest. But you can get a letter saying like this is for volunteer purposes or community service purposes. Um, I do not know what mastermind means, but there is no mastermind in Freemasonry. Freemasonry is decentralized, right? What that means is there is no single governing body or single mastermind responsible for Freemasonry. Every jurisdiction has its own Grand Master and its own kind of level of, like, it's not above or below any other Grand Lodge. It's equal to every other Grand Lodge. Mr. Courtney, Bandit is doing well. 2 years? Okay. It is Robbie Burns night tomorrow, January 24th. Happy Robbie Burns Day. A very important Freemason, a very important Scotsman, just a very important dude altogether. As someone who recently had haggis, neeps, and tatties, um, more than I thought they were great. But Bandit is doing well. Bandit's great. I love my cat. Bandit's awesome. We're going to give it a bit more time. Then I'm going to, another 9 minutes, going to start talking about the things I wanted to talk about today. Some special announcements, some notes, some things that you can do all the way back in wherever you're from, wherever you might be, to help out Freemasonry, this channel. What's wrong with my collar? Oh, I guess it's kind of ugly looking. Here. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not the type of person who cares about how I look. It's probably there we go. It's one of my least, it's one of the biggest challenges my poor mom had to deal with. I've never been one who cares about things like how I dress or my collar or anything like that. So, but I understand, in fairness, this is a visual medium. So I suppose I should try to look my best. Please hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe button. I'm 2 subscribers away from 3,000. Actually, I'm at there, I think, 3,360 subs. So much, much appreciated. Mr. Courtney, this is how you can even help me out if you want with all the way down in Texas. Some stuff that you guys can do. So we're going to give it a couple more minutes. Wait to see who joins. As always, again, please hit like, please hit subscribe. That is good coffee. And I do want to mention, on a personal note, thank you to the Salvation Army Salvation Army. Yesterday, we had a volunteer appreciation dinner. Every year I volunteer for the Salvation Army Christmas kettles. I love it. It's a tradition. I would never miss it. And yeah, I got an awesome appreciation dinner out of it. Good food, good people, and it was a lot of fun. Are you having haggis tomorrow, Dad, for Robbie Burns night? All right. Well, I guess we can start now with some notes. All right, so hold on just 1 second. Oh, Caesar, there is no connection between Freemasons and human trafficking. Again, unless you want to count the child identification program, which is not simply for children, call it the identification program, which creates packages that can be given to police and authorities if anyone is being trafficked and being sent away. So yeah, there is that. MD myth. So everything. So does that mean for your criminal record check or vulnerable persons record check, you need to get it renewed every 2 years. Because I don't know what the rule is on that. So, I mean, so Lobola, Freemasons, again, define relevance. It's very relevant to me. But I don't disagree. I think one thing we need to be in Freemasonry is more relevant and focus on being more relevant. And yesterday I talked about ways, actually on the 21st, I talked about ways that we can grow our relevance and the importance of growing our relevance. So I don't disagree with you. We are not as relevant as we could be or as we should be, and I wish we were more relevant. But having said that, it is relevant on a personal level. CC, please hit like and subscribe. I mean, there's so many different Masonic YouTube channels. I know some Masons really don't like it. I don't know if my dad is a big fan of it, to be honest. I think he would rather, because he's a Mason, would rather Freemasonry be more quiet again. But sometimes you have to do what you think is best. You have to do what you think is right. Lobola, I hope you'll also hit the like and subscribe button. I mean, it's very common for grandfathers, fathers, great grandfathers to pass away, and the family ends up inheriting their Masonic. I don't like the term merch, Masonic items. My advice, and it's yours, Lobola, it's yours to do with as you please. But my advice or my request is always, I hope you would consider returning it to the Masonic Lodge in which you was a member, because they may want it to display it or to have a connection with their brother. But again, you don't have to do that. It's yours, right? It's one of the reasons why I'm always telling Masons, like, take a few moments to include in your will information about where you want your Masonic items to go and what you want to happen to them when you die. So your executive knows, I want these items to go to my Masonic Lodge. I want these items to go to my family, right? So yeah, I think that, but it happens so commonly. And that's why I've always argued that within Freemasonry, just because you see somebody wearing a Masonic shirt or a Masonic ring, it doesn't automatically mean they're Freemason. They could have, they could have inherited it from a family member or bought it at a pawn shop. You still need to do your due diligence. Well, I'm a Freemason, so then I guess that would make me a loser as well, Lobola. I do not know what Carolean means. I'm Canadian. I don't know if you're trying to say that and just are not doing well at spelling, but it's a whole other can of tuna. I do not know what that means. I do like to read. I'm currently rereading some Stephen King stuff. All right, so I did want to take a moment to say happy anniversary, happy birthday to the Detroit Masonic Temple Library, Archive, and Research Center. On January 23rd to 24th, 1895, the cornerstone ceremonies of the first Detroit Masonic Temple took place. Located at 1st and Lafayette, it was designed by Mason and Rice. This 140-foot tall red brick Romanesque revival building was Detroit's first purpose-built Masonic building and served the needs of the fraternity from 1895 to roughly 1907. With rapidly expanding membership, the building became obsolete, and in April 1919, the decision was made to build the much larger Detroit Masonic Temple we know today. Demolished in January 1936, the cornerstone is displayed on the 4th floor lobby of the current Detroit Masonic Temple. So I think, I absolutely love and adore Detroit Freemasonry, Michigan Freemasonry, and the Detroit Masonic Temple. Obviously, I never got the chance to visit the first Masonic Temple in Detroit, built or located at 1st and Lafayette. But nonetheless, I love the current building very much. It's a stunning building. It's beautiful. But again, you see this rapidly expanding growth in Freemasonry from around 1895 to 1925, 1930, just before the Depression, basically. And you saw the need for these purpose-built Masonic buildings as a consequence of that. Pub, right next to the Detroit Masonic Temple, Welcome, POB 1501. Thank you for being here. Please take a moment, hit the like and subscribe button. I very much would appreciate it. Well, Chef, you're not wrong. There is a difference between goodwill and God's will. Goodwill is something that needs to be determined in a civic institution or a civic environment. God's will is a religious question. So you're asking Freemasonry to do something it's not meant to do. You're asking Freemasonry to tell you what God's will is. That's for your religious understanding. Goodwill, I think you can find goodwill in a variety of different settings, and a variety of different locations and clubs and groups. But I think goodwill ultimately needs to come from being part of something bigger than yourself. I do think that's pretty necessary. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I would say that we're passionate about Lafayette. I mean, I don't think I've ever really heard any Masons bring him up. So I would guess I would disagree with the premise of your question. I mean, I know very little about him myself, right? He was a Enlightenment era, like he was one of those Enlightenment era guys, kind of like Voltaire. But I wouldn't say we're not passionate about him. I've seen his picture on a few Masonic buildings, but I've also seen George Washington's picture. I've seen Ben Franklin's picture, the Queen, the King. It's one of many kind of Masonic figures throughout history. Um, I would say he embodies Enlightenment era values. Republicanism could be considered to be one of them. In some ways, you could argue Freemasonry is a child of the Enlightenment. It does predate it, and it's not exclusively Enlightenment era. However, it certainly took a great deal of influence from Enlightenment era philosophies, including and not limited to um, democracy, religious tolerance. I've never heard of that, but there could be. There might be. I mean, I've heard of Lafayette. I've never heard of the sword of Lafayette. It could be in one particular lodge. Like maybe a lodge has kept one of his swords as a like a museum piece on display, which does happen quite a bit. I've known many Masonic buildings that have special items from Masons of the past. One lodge had like George Washington's chair, if I recall correctly. Um, so I did also want to mention, I love buffets in general. So this is something I mentioned before, but I want to mention it again. The best of Windsor, Essex, and you don't need to be from Windsor, Essex, in order to take part in this. Let me just, here it is. So the best of Windsor, Essex the best of Windsor, Essex Awards nominations are now open. Um, Nominations are open for the 11th annual Best of Windsor Essex Awards. It closes Sunday, February 1st at 11:59 p.m. Finalists for the 11th annual Best of Windsor Essex Awards will be announced Monday, February 9th. The nomination period is between now and February 1st. After the announcements or after the nominations, whichever groups receive the most nominations, you can vote for them. I just need to get so you can vote for the Temple Blooms at the Windsor Masonic Temple. I'm going to write that in here. Temple Blooms at the Masonic Ballroom. In the categories of, let me just get the categories out. If I could find it now. Here it is. Best live performance venue. You could also do it for best photo op. But yeah, I hope that you will consider going to bestofwindsoressex.ca and nominating the Temple Blooms at the Masonic Temple Ballroom under Best Live Performance Venue. You can also nominate Square and Compass Promotions under Square and Compass Promotions under best tours for virtual tours at the Windsor Masonic Temple. You can also vote for us under, or again, vote for photo op for the Windsor Masonic Temple. It's a beautiful place to take photos, beautiful place to take pictures. So I can hope you consider doing that as well. We're going to wait a couple more minutes, just see who else jumps on. I'm going to talk about something else in a second that you can do. Here it is. I think I have a purity of purpose. I mean, I'm not rich, so I don't know what you're talking about there. I am not rich. Okay. Other things that you can do, and again, that's coming up that I want to mention. So first, please go to Best of Windsor, the Best of Windsor Essex Awards. You can search for it on Google, or you can type it in bestofwindsoressex.ca. And then you can nominate, for example, nominate Temple Blooms at the Masonic Ballroom under the category of Best Live Performance Venue. Consider nominating Windsor Masonic Temple as a photo op. Consider nominating Square and Compass Promotions under tours. It's bestofwindsoressex.ca. Nominate, once again, Temple Blooms at the Masonic Ballroom under Best Live Performance Venue. I'm not turning around, so I do not know to what you're referring. I just realized you can see my Cheerios in the back there. Cheerios are delicious, by the way. It's a great snack. Not trying to get a sponsorship from them. And this is an important thing, too, for Masonic lodges to remember. Like, for example, the Grand Lodge of Philadelphia recently did something where, again, it was a voting for the best of Philadelphia. Like, these votes, these nominations, whether it be the best of, like, the best historical building, the best venue in your town, that stuff really matters. So I hope you guys will consider voting for Temple Blooms at the Windsor Masonic Temple under Best Live Performance Venue. Hello, Gorilla. Please hit like and subscribe. So another thing I want to mention, the Canadian, this matters especially if you're Canadian, the Canadian Register of Historic Places is set to come down in spring of 2026. With no replacement plan, this will mean losing a vital nationwide database that helps keep information about our historic places accessible and comparable across jurisdictions. The trust has written to the federal, provincial, that's the National Trust for Canada, territorial ministers responsible for the register, calling on them to work together to protect this irreplaceable knowledge and ensure it remains accessible to Canadians. We, along with our partners, are ready to contribute to finding a contemporary solution. So, several Masonic buildings are actually, if I recall correctly, noted in this on this site. Many Masonic buildings are historically relevant or historically important. They may have been built in the 1920s or even earlier. In some cases, they may be like currently a Masonic building. In other cases, they may have been a Masonic building that was sold and turned into, purchased by new owners, but maintains the Masonic facade, for example. Either way, it's important that we as Freemasons are respectful of and supportive of our historical buildings, especially our historical Masonic buildings. So the National Trust of Canada, again, I'm going to read this again and encourage everybody to consider supporting this initiative if you can. Like in Montreal, for example, I believe their building would be a historical building. National Trust of Canada, alarm as Canadian Register of Historic Places to shut down. The Canadian Register of Historic Places, better known as the historicplaces.ca website, is coming down. Parks Canada announced in late 2025 that the searchable database, a cornerstone for understanding heritage places in Canada, will be permanently unplugged in spring 2026. Heritage advocates are scrambling to save the data and find a replacement. In December 2025, Parks Canada shared with provincial and territorial partners that the Canadian Register of Historic Places would be taken down in spring of 2026. The existing database is at the end of its technological life. There is no plan for its replacement. The register is an online searchable database of historic places in Canada, formally recognized for their heritage value by the federal, provincial, or municipal territorial authorities. It is administered by Parks Canada and is publicly accessible on its website, historicplaces.ca. The register was launched in 2004 as part of the Historical Places Initiative, a collaboration between the federal, provincial, and territorial governments to improve protection of the country's historic sites and to foster a culture of heritage conservation in Canada. The provinces and territories invest millions in creating the register. Their initial response has been described as shock and disappointment. There are approximately 13,500 historical places listed on the register. It's a vital tool for the heritage community, and particularly for those jurisdictions who rely on it as a system of record for historical designation. The impacts of the loss of the register for the use and management of heritage in Canada are significant. The register is used by federal, provincial, territorial, and municipal officials and governments as a definitive source of information. Its illustrated entries are used for public policy development, education, real estate investments, and private and public sector projects, and to assess potential designations, modifications, and demolitions. Without a common register, information about historic places will become more fragmented, inconsistent, and difficult to find. Information will be lost or invisible to the Canadian public. Inconsistencies between registers will lead to confusion and gaps. The register is the exclusive Canadian tool that allows a search for listings across jurisdictions. Without it, any coordinated action or analysis for heritage places in Canada will be impeded. Join us as we, National Trust, takes action. Welcome back, Jocelyn. Thank you for being here. I am from Manitoba, but now live in Ontario. Decommissioning the register creates an urgent need to salvage the information in the register. In the longer term, a solution to keep comparable information about historic places in all jurisdictions easily accessible is needed. A download of their listings is being provided to each participating jurisdiction. These downloads, in the form of Excel tables, work is underway in some provinces and territories by government officials and heritage organizations to ensure that critical information is saved. The National Trust has written the federal, provincial, and territorial ministers responsible for the register, calling on them to work together to ensure that comprehensive information about Canada's historic places remains accessible to Canadians. We, along with our partners in the National Council, are ready to contribute to finding a contemporary solution that ensures ongoing access to the register's information. If you use the Canadian Register of Historic Places, write to the Federal Minister of the Environment and to provincial or territorial ministers responsible for heritage to let them know you care about what is being thrown away. So I would ask if anybody is interested in the preservation of historical information, historical knowledge, historical documentation of our built heritage, especially Masonic heritage. And if you are Canadian, consider going to the National Trust for Canada, finding the information on the shutdown of the register and writing a letter expressing your belief that it needs to be preserved and saved, and why it needs to be preserved and saved. I am paid through Patreon memberships and through Super Chats and through YouTube memberships, Hostile Takeover. But I was doing this even before I was monetized on YouTube. And certainly no Masons are paying me for this, unless they happen to be a Patreon. So please keep that in mind. This is my own opinions, my own thoughts. Because I love Freemasonry. I'm not going to say it's not at times a pain in the ass as well. It can be both. It can be both something I love and a pain in the ass. Both things are very possible. Please take a moment, hit the like and subscribe button. I would truly, truly appreciate it. And we are not evil people. So again, consider checking out National Trust for Canada, learning more about the historicplaces.ca, and consider writing a letter to our minister to support it. I mean, you could argue Freemasonry is kind of like an old boys club, although most Freemasons wouldn't use that terminology. I mean, look, I have no issue with any club or group. I think well, I shouldn't say that. I have an issue with, for example, like the KKK. I think that's a very negative group or club. But I'm always going to be supportive of civic institutions and civic society in general. I think it's vital for the advancement of a community, of a country, of democracy, to have civic institutions and have those civic institutions be very strong. No new merch at the moment. Same merch as before. I have the coins. I have the postcards. For the $50 or more, I have the scale model Masonic Temple. That is the current merch I have. I have a couple of new postcards. I find postcards are a good type of merch. But I believe you got the newest one, Brother Courtney. What's up, Mr. Dexstar? Frank, please hit like and subscribe. So that is one. And then one more thing I want to mention is if you are Freemasonry is full of businessmen, politicians, powerful people. It is also full of janitors, custodians, unemployed people, and people lacking any power. Freemasonry is welcome to men of all different socioeconomic backgrounds. Don't know. It could be that Freemasons got foolish and did decide to kill him. I'm not going to say that's impossible. Passions were running high because people were stupid. My argument would be if any Mason did that, they should go to jail. Well, I mean, it's 100 and something years ago. However, keep in mind, William Morgan was massively in debt. He actually escaped from a debtor's prison. It's very possible he owed a lot of people a lot of money. And one of them got to him. Or it's possible he escaped to Canada, right? It's very possible he escaped to Canada to avoid his debts. Well, I mean, Freemason is a brotherly club. I'm not a big fan of the term just, because a brotherly club is actually really important and really matters. I mean, brotherly love is a very important thing. The Greeks would have said, and the Romans would have said, it's one of the foundational things you need to form a society, at least on a community level. And I believe that. I believe that's very important. Oops. So, another thing that's happening right now is the Next Great Save program. So the Next Great Save, if you belong to a Masonic building, and it is a heritage place, my question for you is, do you have a heritage place that deserves a bright future? The Next Great Save is your chance to rally your community, spotlight your story, and compete for $65,000 in prizes, including a $50,000 grand prize to help protect, adapt, or renew historical places that matters. Applications are open January 9th to 27th. Save, renew, inspire, and apply now. If you are part of a Masonic building and it's a heritage property, either designated as such or just historically relevant, you may be eligible for up to $50,000 to, retrofit, renovate, upgrade, modify your building. That is also through National Trust for Canada. The applications are open January 9th to the 27th. So you got 4 days if you want to do something. Thank you, Rodolph. I really appreciate that. Well, brotherly love doesn't mean gay. Brotherly love, nothing wrong with being gay. We have many gay Freemasons. Brotherly love means the love I have for my brothers, not just within Freemasonry, but brothers in society, fellow Canadians. You can even apply it to women, right? It's this idea of you're not literally my brother, but I love you like a brother. Um, and I think that that's an incredibly important attribute that we're losing because we're so obsessed with what is that person's religious beliefs, what is that person's political beliefs, that we've lost the ability to have brotherly love for those around us. DTRDTT. Maybe this is short bus vibes, but that should not stop you from hitting the like and subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it. So, anyways, those are three things that you guys can do through social media to help Freemasonry out, to help me out, to help my building out. You can nominate Temple Blooms at Windsor Masonic Temple under the 11th annual Best of Windsor Essex Awards for the best live performance venue. You can contact the Minister of Heritage and express the importance of keeping the historicalplaces.ca register open, which will include information about historical Masonic places. And you can nominate your Masonic building, if it is a heritage building, under the Next Great Save program here in Canada. Yeah, so we don't know what happened to William Morgan. I'm not going to say, look, passions get the best of people. If he was killed by Masons because they were mad at him, then those Masons should have gone to jail, whether they did or not. I mean, I don't think they were ever caught. But we don't know for sure what happened. It's very likely that he just escaped to Canada, or the people to whom he owed money caught up with him because he was in massive debt. I mean, when you say there's no proof of his debt, he was put in a debtor's prison and he escaped from it. So, I mean, I would take that as some proof of it. The ultimate thing is, though, we don't know. We do know that Masons were not happy with him, though. So you can take that for kind of whatever it's worth. We're going to give it a bit more time and wait to see who joins. And now we're just hanging out. So that's what I'm going to talk about today. Also, happy Robbie Burns Day. I may post something tomorrow about Robbie Burns, just briefly, because it is Robbie Burns Day, although I may be going to an installation tomorrow night. So Bandit's doing great. DAW, I'm always calm. Please hit like and subscribe. But I think hopefully what people remember is the reason I talk about this is there's so many different ways to support Freemasonry, and a lot of people don't pay attention to them, right? Like, you may not be able to visit the Philadelphia Masonic Temple, but you can nominate the Masonic Temple under the Best of Philadelphia Awards for Best Historical Attraction, right? You don't need to live in Philadelphia to do that. And by doing that, you're not only supporting Philadelphia Freemasonry, you're supporting Freemasonry worldwide. You can nominate Temple Blooms for best live performance venue, even if you don't live here in Windsor, right? Because you're showing support for the venue. You can write a letter to the minister talking about the need to preserve historical registries because that preserves information about historical Masonic buildings. Like, there's so many things that you can do. So you need to keep those things in mind. Prep. My argument is we're all mixed because you go back far enough, we all have a little bit of everything. Dad is from England, mom is from Canada. What I am also is handsome. Thank you for seeing that. Please hit the like and subscribe button. Why would you urinate inside a Masonic lodge? CR7 King. That's a foolish thing to do. Use a toilet. I don't think I've ever read that. I think I did read that poem actually, but a long time ago. I mean, obviously, Robbie Burns' Auld Lang Syne, very important poem. He wrote a lot of stuff about Freemasonry, and just a lot of great poems in general. He's kind of like he'd probably be the patron poet of Freemasonry. And yeah, and don't forget, it's coming up soon. It's done in 4 days. Consider nominating your Masonic Lodge for the next great save, or your Masonic building for the next great save, if you happen to be If you happen to have a Masonic building that is a heritage or historical building, and there are many, by the way, there are many, so keep that in mind. We should, I've never heard them called funky rituals, but I'll take it. We should memorize them. Now, whether, where it's kind of expected that they be memorized. There are times when brethren, for whatever reason, can't memorize it. I've seen people read in lodges, but you're not supposed to. You're supposed to memorize it. It's the way to show respect, right? Like if I'm performing a piece of ritual in a degree to a new candidate and I'm not looking at him, but I'm reading it, it indicates that like, you don't, you're not there for the candidate. But if you actually are memorizing it and you look at him while you're reading it, it's a demonstration of respect that you're willing to take the time to learn something, to memorize something, in order to, in order to show you are there for him and you're delivering it to him. So yeah. And I've always thought, it's not the exclusive reason you should join, but if you wanted to join Freemasonry, one benefit you are going to get is you are going to develop certain skills and abilities, specifically memorization skills. Thank you, Total Tech. Well, I mean, I wouldn't call it role play. It's ceremony or ritual. It's just a way to open and close the lodges, usually. Like, it's call and response, right? So you need some type of, for a ceremony to be a ceremony, for a ritual to be a ritual, you need to have some type of consistency. And it's a good way to do it because, at least for me, what the ritual does and the ceremony does at the start and end of a meeting is it's almost like a mindfulness practice, a mindfulness technique. What it does is it reminds you, okay, we have now officially started the meeting. It is different now. We're in a different place. Maybe not literally, but mentally. Whatever problems, challenges, issues existed outside the lodge, they no longer exist within this lodge. So that's always been my philosophy on it. Where is that spectral toast? I mean, where you from? Because I've seen that many times. It's not as common anymore, but it definitely used to be very common that Masons would meet above corner stores. Masons would meet above taverns and bars, right? There's actually one in this little town just north of, or sorry, not north, but this little town just outside of Nashville. Joppa Lodge. There is this song called Home in the Hometown. That's Home in the Hometown. It's written by or performed by Matt Stell and Jimmy Allen, I think, is in it. The opening shot, I'm going to see if I can find it now, is, him in a corner, like him having a cup of coffee in like a corner store. And sorry, it was home in a hometown, not home in the hometown, home in a hometown. And I'm going to see if I can do this because it's really cool without getting copyrighted or anything. Raleigh, North Carolina. All right, Spectral Toast. By the way, please hit like and subscribe button. I never had a friend named Mason, but I've known some adults named Mason. Oh, hold on just one sec. Sorry. Let me see if I can get this. It was Gladeville. All right, so this was the opening shot of the song Home in a Hometown. I know you can see that there. So that's a corner store. I've actually been in that corner store. That's the Gladeville stop sign, and that's Joppa Lodge. So that's a corner store with the Masonic Lodge above it. It was really cool. Phew. Excuse me. I got to visit it because I was in Nashville, and I went there. Sadly, the lodge was not open, but I could still at least meet with the people in the corner store below. And then I even called a brother who was a member of that lodge. They gave me his phone number, but unfortunately, he was out of town at the time. So, um, but that is Home in a Hometown by Matt Stell featuring Jimmy Allen from 6 years ago, I guess it was. I wish I could have got inside the lodge room, but I just got to see the outside of it. And I ate at that corner store. It was a really cool little corner store where they had like this lunch counter. It was good. You should. More people would join if you got covered in Nashville hot sauce. The Nashville itself, I mean, Nashville has the Grand Lodge of Tennessee present. It's an absolutely beautiful lodge building, beautiful building in general. It's huge. And it's just off the main drag. Like, forget what it's called, Broadway Street, I think. It's kind of just off the main drag, if I recall correctly. And it's really, really cool. So, yeah, I loved it. But I would love to get covered in Nashville hot sauce because I like Nashville. I like Nashville food in general. But if you ever get the chance to visit it, I would suggest check out the I mean, check out Gladeville as well, but check out Nashville Masonic Lodge. I don't know if that lodge is still there. I'm going to go to map views because now I'm curious to see if there's a recent picture of that street and if the lodge is still present. Got to see if I can find it now. It was just outside of Nashville, north of Franklin, north of Murfreesboro. It was like a small town USA as you could get, which I appreciate though, because I love small towns. Oh, they had like, it was like a diner. So they had they had the hamburgers, fries, hot dogs. They had breakfast. They did have a breakfast uh, counter as well. So bacon, eggs, toast. When I say corner store, they didn't have a lot of stuff to like purchase. They had like some drinks and some stuff to go, but mostly it was like a small town diner. But let's see. Oh, well, so this street view is from December 2024. Let's see if there's anything more recent. Yeah, December 2024 is the most recent. And as of that, oops. It's still there. I'm going to show you this just so you guys can see. Yeah, there it is. Still there. This is Google Street View from December of 2024. So I'd heard it was no longer like it had gone dark or they'd maybe joined Nashville or something, but I don't know. They've got a nice church there. So that is a Masonic lodge above a corner store. I brought it up because somebody mentioned they have they have a smaller lodge that rents space above a corner store, which does happen. So yeah, so I figured I'd mention that just because it's kind of cool. We trust people. CR. Freemasonry is about trust, trusting your brothers. The building I was talking about was called Ashworth Drugs in Cary, North Carolina. I'm going to search for that. Hold on just one sec. Ashworth Drugs, Cary, North Carolina, Freemasonry. I take the COVID shot every chance I get. I mean, not every, like I'm not running into the store getting it, but whenever it's time for my booster, I get my booster of the COVID shot, my flu shot, any other that I may need. When I travel, I get my like hepatitis vaccines, stuff like that. Phil Collins, you should hitting the like and subscribe button. Downtown Cary. Okay. Cary Masonic History. Ashworth's Stairway to the Past. Okay, and then there was Hidden Lodge Footsteps. Nearly a century ago, Cary's Masonic Lodge built the tallest structure in town. That's very common, to have the tallest building in your town or community be a Masonic Lodge. That was in Franklin, Tennessee. That was in Chicago. That was in Detroit. Very common that the tallest building in your city or community was the Masonic Lodge. I do, and I'm proud of it. I think taking the vaccine is the Masonic thing to do because it shows you care not just for yourself, but for the community. Well, that must be why I have such a big forehead. Please hit like and subscribe. I do not filter my water. I do not eat organic, though I do try to eat healthy. And sometimes I'll pay attention to things that are organic. I don't know what that means. I mean, you getting from your first to your third shouldn't be a weekend thing. Again, I don't like the term rank, or getting your office shouldn't be a weekend thing. It takes time. It takes time because it's important. Anything important takes time. Welcome, everybody. Please don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. It is spectral toast, and that is one reason a lot of people join Freemasonry, because they love history, myself included, right? I love history, and that is one of the things I enjoy about Freemasonry. It's not the exclusive reason I join, but it is an added bonus to it. You're asking my age? I'm 42 years of age. I get the secrets through ritual and ceremony. I don't know, because African noses are awesome. I do not know what that means. So spectral toast, have you ever been inside the building? Gooey, don't call me pastor. You're going to find yourself in timeout or banned because I keep telling you that. I don't like to repeat myself. Don't call me pastor. Have you ever been in there, spectral toast? Like, have you ever been in the building? Or like checked out the building on the inside? Do they do tours of it? Anything like that? All right, Phil Collins. Let's put you in a bit of a timeout as well. You need to calm down a little bit. Bob, water, is it? I mean, wouldn't water? I would think water, by definition, would be the most vegan of things one could have. I don't know how much more vegan you could get than water by definition. All right, we're just hanging out. This is a Friday stream. This is a talk about anything stream. So we just hang out and chat about whatever we want to talk about. So please take a moment, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, consider doing a super chat. Just 99 cents helps out big time. It all, helps encourage the algorithm to check us out. So please consider doing so. And yeah, we're going to hang out for a bit longer, see who joins. I talked earlier today about some things you can do to support us here in Windsor and support Freemasonry. Vote for Temple Blooms as the best live performance venue under the Best of Windsor Essex. I left a link above. Also, consider, if you're in Canada, writing to the Minister of Heritage and asking for the preservation of historicplaces.ca. And consider, if you are from Canada, nominating your building for the next great save. I mean, I don't know if they're begging for recruits. It seems that they're being much more open about their desire to recruit. So, which I think is okay. I have no issue with solicitation. We need to get our numbers up. So Nice. Maybe one day I'll make it there. Who knows? I think it'd be really fun to get there. So maybe one day I'll be able to visit. Because one thing I genuinely love to do is absolutely visit and attend, like visit Masonic buildings. I've actually got a couple of Instagram accounts. Spectral Toast, you might be interested in these. I've got a couple of Instagram accounts, which is just pictures of Masonic buildings, both inside and outside. Oh, good for them, Spectral. I hope you'll take a tour. I would encourage you to do so. Dispassionate Observer, hello to you as well. Thank you for being here. Spectral Toast, if you want to check out my Instagram accounts, which have these pictures, let me get you the ats for them. I don't know if you're on Instagram or not, but if you'd like to see pictures of Masonic buildings, you'll probably enjoy this one, or these two. One is on the inside, one's on the outside. So one is pictures of the facades, and the other is pictures of the interiors. Thank you, Brother Courtney. That's incredibly kind of you. So Masonic, so it's Instagram.com, and then the first one is, Masonic Buildings 1. That's the first one. And then the second one is Masonic Building Interiors 1. So yeah, those are the two Instagram accounts I have. One is the exteriors of Masonic buildings. The other is the interior. I've got, the grand, big, huge Masonic buildings and the smaller ones and everything in between. So I hope that you guys will check those out. Hit the like and subscribe button on them as well. I guess follow would be for Instagram. Hit the follow button for those. Because obviously, if I'm going to turn my passion for Freemasonry into a profession, then I need the help of people hanging out and following me on Instagram. Maybe muting you is a sign of you can't talk to everybody all the time about nonsense, because other people need to get on the stream as well. And if you're repeating the same things over and over again, you're definitely going to reach a point where it's not interesting for other people, right? It's kind of like if somebody says 2 + 2 = 5, sooner or later, I'm just going to mute them, because I can't just keep repeating that 2 + 2 = 4. Hello, Mark Arouge. Well, then you're going to snap. Whether I choose to mute somebody or not is up to me. You can start your own stream and, let on whomever you so choose to. Well, there you go. Christopher Foster says 2 + 2 does equal 5. So maybe I'm on the wrong planet. I'm sure that CR7 King believes 2 + 2 = 5, but the rest of us know a little bit better. Hello, Chronic Carlos as well. It does equal 4, but the point is, if somebody on the stream keeps on saying 2 + 2 = 5, then at a certain point you just mute them, because it's not interesting to hear them constantly repeating incorrect information. The meetings of Freemasonry were very well advertised back in the day. I mean, it's only been in the last, I'd say, 20 years or so that we in Freemasonry started to quote unquote be more secretive, and there's a variety of reasons for that. But they used to have the meetings advertised in newspapers all the time. In fact, what you would very often see is Like if you go to old, and I would suggest anybody do this, go to newspapers.com, find the local newspaper in your area, do a search for Masonic meetings, and you will find, for example, like the date of the next Masonic meeting advertised. You'll even see like special guests. So, members of Great Western Lodge, the next Masonic meeting is scheduled to take place in 2 weeks. We have a special guest coming, dinner at 6:30. Like you would see that so often. Um, Brother Courtney, I have visited Texas many times, never been to Waco, unfortunately, never been to Waco to visit the Grand Lodge building. Believe me, I want to get there. Daniel Bookman, I mean, if you love history and you love mystery, then you should love the Freemasons. I hope that you will like and subscribe to my channel, Daniel Bookman. I'd very much appreciate that. What exactly do Freemasons do? Asks Strategy Master. Well, you should hit the like and subscribe button. What Freemasons do ultimately is it's a civic and community group. It's a fraternal organization, at least the largest side of it. What it does is it meets and regularly meets. It's a clubhouse. It's a group, right? They care about one another. They care about the community. They try to build a better community through the application of brotherly love, belief, and truth. But ultimately, what they do is they have meetings to either preserve the order itself or to bring in new members. If you're ever a kid and you formed a clubhouse and you called it, Strategy Masters Clubhouse and invited all your friends to hang out, that's what they do. You think about it as a very formalized, very formal version of a guy's night out. Thank you, Daniel Bookman. I appreciate that very much. Masons do a lot of charity as well, as Graham points out. Now, Freemasonry is not in and of itself a charitable institution, but it does a ton of charitable works. In the same way, if you create a club or an organization, you may decide to perform charitable acts as a way to bond yourselves to one another, because if you're all doing the same thing and being charitable, that creates bonds of brotherhood, as well as you want to help out the community and you care about the community in which you're located. Do the Freemasons have gluten-free options? Honestly, CR7 King, that's a really good question. I think you're being sarcastic, but I've talked about this before. Within Freemasonry, we have what is called a junior warden. He is usually responsible for the food and refreshment. And I've talked in the past about how I think this brother should have some type of food handler certification, just to be careful, to be safe, so he knows how to best serve food and not put anybody at risk of, for example, food that's gone bad or whatever it is. But also, he should be aware of the dietary restrictions of the membership. That can be religiously based dietary restrictions, like, for example, if you have a brother who can't eat pork, Muslim or Jewish. If you have a brother who can't eat a certain type of food on a certain type of day, like a Catholic maybe can't have meat on Fridays, he should be aware of that, but he should also be aware of food allergies. Are there brethren who can't eat gluten? Are there brethren who can't eat a certain type of food, whatever it might be, right? Are allergic to peanuts, whatever it is. Be aware of those things and be careful of those things and be respectful of those things. You can't be respectful necessarily for every type of food restriction and food allergy. However, you can try your best. And I do think sometimes it's worth keeping in mind, do we have brethren who have struggles with gluten? Can we accommodate that? How do we accommodate that, right? Mark, well, that's a political statement. The oil money from Greenland. Freemasonry is not a political institution. So some may agree with you, some may disagree with you, but that's not what Freemasonry is about. Freemasonry is about caring for your community, whatever the political affiliations therein are. Well, you know me now, Strategy. Maybe you think I'm becoming better. Maybe you think I'm not. I have no clue. But honestly, I've never been a huge fan of the term making good men better. I just think it doesn't really give you information. I think a better way to say it is, We try to make the community better through the application of brotherly love, relief, and truth. Hello, Speedy Cheeto. Are you speedy enough to hit that like button and that subscribe button? I would say for me, Freemasonry has helped make me better, but I also think, look, Freemasonry doesn't make the man makes Freemasonry. Sometimes we fight amongst ourselves, strategy, but that's human nature. Find me any group or organization, you are going to find them fighting, at least somewhat. Hopefully, though, Freemasonry teaches you the tools to deal with those debates, to deal with those arguments, to deal with those challenges in a positive way, as much as you possibly can, right? That needs to be the goal. One of the biggest mistakes I think we can make is thinking if we're a Freemason, we'll automatically get along with all our brothers without issue. That's not how it works. We need to be willing to understand we're going to have disagreements, we're going to have disputes, but that's okay. Even with those disputes, we can find brotherly love. And I would say I've seen, as many times as I've seen disputes, I've seen brotherly love. So depends where you're looking and what you're looking for. Rules are the rules. That is very true. We're just hanging out. We'll see who else joins. Please take a moment, hit that like and subscribe button. So we do have merchandise, GUI. We have Patreon merchandise. You can become a Patreon member. Well, the apron is because to show respect for our stonemason ancestors, right? Freemasonry are derived from or evolved from stonemasonry. Stonemasons, as well as many other tradesmen or journeymen, wore aprons while they were working. So we wear them while we are metaphorically working. Yes, I've been a master mason since 2007. So I've been a mason for basically 2008, actually. So I've been a mason for basically 20 years. Yes, patreon.com/square and compass. Patreon.com/square and compass. That's where you find me. You can do from $3 a month up to $50 a month. Just make sure that if you're doing if you join Patreon at a paid membership level, you include your contact information, particularly a shipping or mailing address, because I need to send you something. And I need to know where to send it. Well, so CR, sometimes you have your own personal apron, some don't. In my experience, most Masons have a personal apron, but they also have an officer's apron. So let's say you are a senior warden, there's an apron for that chair, and you will be given that. You don't take that with you because that goes to the next officer in line after you, right? So what you do in that case is you put it in a box or in a storage facility at the end of the meeting, and then get it again at the next meeting. YW33, has anybody ever told you that you should hit the like and subscribe button? Itchy thing, maybe Freemasonry is going down, maybe it's not, but I'm going to try my best to keep it going. But that's me and my opinion and what I want to do, right? You don't have to like Freemasonry. There's no rule that says you have to support it. I do hope you'll support this channel by hitting the like and subscribe button. I mean, yes, Freemasonry is an organizing system for individuals, but I mean, any club or group is an organizing system for individuals, almost by definition, right? Like, if you're going to start a club or a group and you're not going to organize it, then it's not going to be a very successful group. What I would say is it's definitely a organizing system for civic engagement. Nice. Good. Masonic Roundtable is great. Masonic Roundtable is an excellent club, organization, group. Nothing but, I guess I should call it a podcast. Nothing but respect for them and for the work that they're doing. So, absolutely. Because I got a big nose. Why? I got a big nose, but you can still hit that like and subscribe button. Um, well, it's civic engagements at its core. It's a civic institution, right? Now it has a lot of pomp and circumstance and ceremonies and rituals to it, all of which I love. It is the oldest civic institution, and I would argue in some ways it's been the most impactful through the lessons it teaches and imparts. But at its core, it takes the space of a civic engagement. Um, well, Freemasons are metaphorical. Um, Freemasons are metaphorical builders, not literal builders. Having said that, maybe Steve from Minecraft could be a Freemason. You do not get powers, other than maybe certain powers over oneself to try to be better every day. I don't believe in magic. And Zippy the chicken, you do not take an oath to Allah, nor do you take an oath to the Holy Spirit. Freemasonry is not a religion, so you're not taking an oath to any particular religious figure, nor, or at least if you are taking it, you're taking it to your understanding. So if you're Muslim, you may be taking an obligation to Allah. If you're Christian, you may be taking an obligation to Jesus. It depends on what you believe as a, whatever your beliefs are, that is how it's understood, right? You can be a Freemason and a Muslim. I've known many Muslim Freemasons. They're wonderful brothers. They're wonderful parts of my Masonic family, and I'm grateful for them. Right, but I've also seen, and I've been in Masonic lodges and Masonic buildings where they kiss a Quran, where they use a Torah, where they use an eagle feather for a First Nations brother. I've seen some where they use, I don't remember what it's called, but a book for a Sikh or a Hindu brother. Bhagavad Gita, I'm probably pronouncing that horribly. Please forgive me. Also, I've been told, I never seen it, saw it with myself, but I know some Wiccan Freemasons, Wiccan, and they took their obligation using, they call them like totems. They were like rocks or crystals that they had. So it's not exclusive to a single religious faith. It is the belief in a supreme being. Beyond that, you must be a good man and true, whatever your religious beliefs may happen to be. What if life held you back with everything it had? I mean, Burr, I don't know what you've gone through in your life. It sounds pretty rough. Accidents, health issues, abuse, and failures. I mean, first of all, for the latter, the last on the list, failures, you do need to be careful with that, because there's been many times in my life where I thought something was a failure only to find out it actually wasn't. Because in the moment, you don't know necessarily how things will turn out. So you need to be careful about that. All I can say is try to find at least one thing. No, gooey, we're not going to use alcohol or pills to cope. That's the type of stuff that gets you put in timeout. As much as you can, Burr, try to find at least one good thing in your life every day. It doesn't have to be a big thing. It could be something as small as, like, a couple days ago, I was wheeling down the street because I'm in a wheelchair, and I found $1 on the ground, a loonie. That was one good thing that happened to me that day, and I remember thinking about it at night. Because one thing I try to do every night is think about one good thing that's happened in my life that I can be proud of, even if it's something as small as finding $1. Try to find a group of people you can talk to. What are your common interests? What are your shared interests? What do you like? If you enjoy books, go to the library, join a reading club. Most local libraries have some type of, board for groups. They're usually free to join. So that might be my suggestion. I mean, I don't know what the popular definition of good. I know many Freemasons I would consider good. I tend to view good as utilitarian, so acting in a manner that results in the best outcome for the most people. Not the best outcome for yourself, but the best outcome for the most people, which can include yourself in some cases, but not exclusively for yourself. Um, to be honorable, to be kind, to be decent, to be respectful, to be tolerant, to be brave, to be virtuous, to be temperate. I think all of those things are ways to define good. But to a certain extent, good is one of those things where it's kind of hard to describe. At a certain point, it's the type of thing where you either know it or you don't. So, I mean, I would say yes, substance abuse is definitely a very dangerous thing. It's understandable how and why people find themselves falling into those traps, especially if they struggled with different aspects in life, but does not make things any better. So, what I'd say is go to your library, figure out what type of groups are meeting, and go from there, right? Like maybe they've got a knitting club that meets at the library or a book club. Maybe you can go hang out, see what they are, see how they're doing, what they're talking about, and maybe you want to join. That's the best I can give you. I mean, London Masonic Places, extra Ecclesiastical, I can't pronounce that, is absolutely London has some incredibly beautiful Masonic places. Specifically, what I would say is the Grand Hall in London. I don't know what the 8 pages of prayers to break Masonic curses. I do not know what that is referring to, but okay. Freemasonry is not demonic. Very sorry to let you know. It really is not. We have younger people in the lodge. I don't think we have anyone who's 21, but we do have some people joining in one of my lodges, especially I think we have a couple under the age of 30. I do not know. Um, I'm trying to think of the exact, I don't know the exact ages. I mean, I am not one who believes in exorcism or anything like that. So I am not one who believes in exorcisms or anything to that extent personally. But I don't believe in curses, right? But Freemasonry is not opposed to Christianity, or it's not a religion, but I know many Christian Freemasons. One of the things we are instructed within Freemasonry that I really love is that Freemasonry is tolerant of all different religions and religious beliefs. Freemasonry is also not Luciferian. We also are not involved with Androchrome. There have been, I mean, you can pick the term you want, hate crimes or otherwise, but Masonic buildings have been vandalized. Some were set on fire through arson. Um, a Mason was actually murdered in Texas, if I recall correctly. So, yes, there have been, and that's thanks to a lot of misconceptions about Freemasonry spread online, conspiracy theories, all that type of stuff. Brother Courtney, I think Freemasonry can serve as a guide for how to live both, in 2026 with this very digital world and in 1926 before there was a digital world, right? I think throughout history it provides a very valuable guide. Um, who started Freemasonry? A lot of different people. Like, there's no single person. There were three brothers in Scotland in 1634. The Mackenzie brothers, if I recall correctly, they were the first speculative Freemasons. You could argue they started Freemasonry. You could argue Anthony Sayer, he was the first Grand Master of the Premier Grand Lodge of England, maybe started it. Um, I would say the Sayer brothers, the first speculative Freemasons who joined a Masonic lodge in Scotland in 1634 started it. Um, well, the belief of I mean, the universal architect is not a real term, rather it's a placeholder term. It could mean, depending on your religious beliefs, Jesus or Allah. It could be Judaism. It could be Hindu, Sikh, the creator or the earth and indigenous kind of spiritual beliefs. For me, the universal architect is the rational nature of the universe as understood through the applications of science and geometry. I love Scotland. I was just in Edinburgh. Beautiful place. Beautiful, beautiful place. Um, well, I've never seen or heard of a Masonic curse. I don't believe in curses. I don't believe in the supernatural, for whatever it's worth. In my experience, people who claim Masonic curses are full of baloney. That's not to say they might not be seeing things, but in my opinion, anybody who believes in a curse, like if they say they're cursed, I believe it's most likely mental illness. I don't believe in curses of any sort, Masonic or otherwise. And I think a lot of people, unfortunately, use this idea of Masonic curses on streams or on social media to get clicks and get views. Well, I mean, Freemason has to mean member of a Masonic lodge, right? Like, that's what Freemason has to mean by definition. There are many people who can have Masonic values who are not members of a Masonic lodge, and they would be ones who want to build things that are meaningful to humanity. And certainly, I know many people who act as, brothers. They engage with brotherly love, charity, kindness, dedication. And I would call them, sharing Masonic values, but I would, or even the ideal Freemason, you could call them that, the ideal type of Freemason. But if they're not a member of a Masonic lodge, then they're not a Freemason. It's kind of like, if you see somebody who's super dedicated to health and fitness, you could say he has the ideal of a gym member, but he's not actually a gym member. Maybe he just runs on his own. Um, Well, my stomach is not going to get cut out, nor is anything going to happen to me. There have been many people who have, showed the secrets of the quote unquote secrets of Freemasonry, and they're walking around just fine. So keep that in mind. I have not, but I think it'd be fun to do. Honestly, I think it'd be fun to create a Masonic chess set where it's like you have a worshipful master, a senior warden, a junior warden. You have, two deacons for the rooks, two stewards for the knights. I'm trying to think of what else. Your pawns could be entered apprentices. Like, it'd be really fun to create that. So that's something I've considered doing in the past. I just don't know how to create it. What is mid? What am I not going to do? I missed something here. Oh, convert to Islam. Look, I have no issue. I know a lot of, like I said, Islamic friends, Islamic brethren, great people, great parts of the community, but I'm not one who necessarily is interested in religion per se. Um, but that's my opinion, right? I'm not a reviler of anyone's religion. I think religion serves a lot of valuable purposes. So, yes, no, I don't see myself doing that. Although I am, I do have a lot of respect for the Islamic faith, especially their seeming, like I really respect the fact the Islamic faith is so dedicated to, like the dedication of, like praying 5 times a day, they seem very dedicated to their faith, which I admired a great deal, whether it be praying 5 times a day or regularly going to mosque, not eating, pork. I admire that. Steve Thomas, welcome. Thank you for being here. Everyone believes their beliefs are best, but they're all equal. As my dad says, I agree with that 100%. I hope everybody is doing very well, and thank you all for being here. We'll be ending the stream soon. I hope everybody has a great weekend. I'm very excited. I am going to be producing some content on Medium again, written content, so pay attention to that very soon. But thank you all for being here. I hope you all have a great weekend. I also hope that everybody, I also hope very much that everybody stays warm. If you're in a place that's going to experience this very miserable cold weather, snowstorm, I understand there's a big snow warning right now for a lot of parts of the States and Canada. Be safe, keep yourself warm. There's also going to be, I posted this on my social media. A lot of cities are opening up extra spaces in shelters and warming spaces for those who are without shelter or homeless. If you're in Windsor, Essex, I posted those on my Facebook. My Facebook's public. Find some spaces to keep yourself safe and keep yourself warm. No, not with you, Big C, but I do want everybody watching this to hit the like and subscribe button. That would be very kind. And I hope everybody is having an excellent Friday, an excellent weekend. I've actually got some potential plans this weekend, so I'll let you guys know. You'll see it on social media. Make sure to follow me there. Well, Freemasons evolved from tradesmen, so stonemasons, that's true, but they were not against the king, nor were they against any any civic institutions, right? So it's not that they were against any. In fact, one of the earliest Masonic manuscripts, the Regius poem, actually talks about the necessity of being a good guest in a king or lord's castle or province, because if you're there for work, let's say you're building an extension on the castle, you want to be a good guest because you'll be staying most likely on the king's land. And if you're a jerk or disrespectful of him, you might find yourself no longer in work. At best, at worst, you might find yourself beheaded. Freemasonry was big on, or stonemasonry was big on etiquette. Well, they wanted to get a fair wage. In some ways, Freemasonry is, of queen and craft, but I'm not working for the queen. I'm working for myself at the moment. We're working for a civil society, and the extent to which a queen or king or prime minister or president represents that, then that's what it is. You can give me a super chat, Big C. Just 99 cents helps out big time. You can do a 99-cent super chat. Yes. So Freemasonry, right? I've always said that, Freemasons, I do believe this. Every Freemason should believe that their country is the best country. Like, I truly believe that. I believe Canada is the greatest country in the world. If you're an American Mason, you should believe America is the greatest country in the world. But we should also look beyond the narrow limits of a civil institution, which means if I have an American in my lodge, if I have a Brit in my lodge, if I have somebody from India, somebody from France, whatever it is, I should respect them as much as I respect a brother from Canada. Right? Because ultimately, that's what matters, is showing them that respect. Because again, Freemasonry respects ones of all different nationalities, religions, backgrounds, etc., as we should. I do know Randy Orton, and he's one of the greatest professional wrestlers of all time. By far. We do not run the world behind a curtain or in front of a curtain. We do not run the world. I'm very sorry to disappoint. It is not a secret service for the queen or king, because again, I mean, if you're an American Freemason, you're not serving the king, queen, or the king. I use the term service in the idea of like, if you're a Freemason in England, you are expected to be responsible and to the civic institutions in England. That includes the Queen of England. In Canada, the Prime Minister. In the States, the President. Right? It's the office, not the person. Well, they equate to duality in general, not exclusively of man. You could argue duality of nature, just duality in a general sense. Um, well, I think you fooled yourself, the Waits experience. I think you fooled yourself. I mean, I don't know you, but in my experience, people such as yourself, when you're talking about these things, you are, um, you're probably living a rough, difficult life, either mentally or otherwise, and you've decided to create for yourself an enemy out of Freemasons because it's easier to do that than actually deal with whatever is happening within your own life that's challenging. So you fooled yourself to create an enemy. Freemasonry is not a branch of Luciferianism. Freemasonry is not a branch of any kind of spiritual or religious beliefs. I'm told that there were Luciferians in Freemasonry, but I've never met any myself. Well, I'm living a rough life because I got to deal with people like the Waits experience in summer one. Having said that, I choose to be on YouTube, so that's part of the cost, right? Part of the cost of being on YouTube is you're dealing with these things. Well, you'd have to talk to your Masonic lodge. Here's the question, though, the Waits experience. I've given you the truth, at least the truth as I understand it, and you don't seem to believe me. So I don't think you want the truth. What I think you actually want is somebody to tell you what you already believe is true, which is a very different thing than wanting the truth. Because I've told you the truth and you don't believe me. So it's clear what you actually want is someone to confirm your pre-existing beliefs, which is a very different thing than wanting the truth. Uh, well, Freemasons seem, I mean, when you say Freemasons seem very sure, I would say, for me anyways, I can't speak for other Masons, but my surety comes from my experiences, right? I've been a Freemason for 20 years, or just about 20 years. I've been to over 1,000 Masonic events around the world. I've been to Masonic events in the Philippines, in Brazil, in Colombia, in Mexico, variety of states. I don't know how many, probably 13, 14, maybe 15 states, a couple of provinces, England, Scotland. I've attended all of these events, all of these meetings, and it gives me a level of certainty as to what I'm talking about. Do I know everything 100%? I do not. It's no different than I don't know for sure 100% that there's not an invisible leprechaun living in my apartment. However, I can use my observations and my experiences to make the best judgments I can. And the best judgment I have is that there is no invisible leprechaun living in my apartment. And that's where my surety comes from. Blogtop Freemasonry is a civic group or community organization that evolved from stone Masonic guilds in the Middle Ages. Are there monks? Honestly, I wouldn't be shocked if there was a monk who was a Freemason. I can't think of I've met any, but to my understanding, a monk, you have to have a type of faith to be a monk. You have to believe in a supreme being. So, I suppose you could have like a Tibetan monk who's a Freemason as well. It wouldn't shock me at all, by any means. Sometimes it has happened, CR7 King, and it always makes me annoyed when it does. But sometimes it happens, unfortunately. Freemasons are human beings, we're imperfect. If that does happen, I would ask them to leave. Obviously, make sure they're not driving anywhere if they're drunk, but get someone to pick them up or call them a taxi. Tell them to, sober up, and then maybe talk with them the next day. Because if you're showing up, if you can't control your drinking enough to not be drunk, before coming to lodge, then maybe you need to have a talk with somebody on a more professional level. It happens very rarely, but it has happened in the past, unfortunately. I've seen it a couple times. It always makes me really upset when I see that. So, I mean, I would say that's good. RBA. Again, keep in mind, Freemasons are human beings, so we have all of the weaknesses and foibles of what it means to be a human being. But I do believe Freemasonry, if you pay attention to the lessons, absolutely can encourage you in the path of fairness and honesty. We would call it square dealing, right? To act with someone on the square would mean if you're selling them something, you're giving them a fair price or a square price even. I mean, it can come up. I've never really seen in a lodge like somebody get up and say, we're going to talk about the frailties of humanity and tolerance toward those frailties. But certainly we are taught to be charitable, or charity is encouraged. Charity doesn't just mean charity in the sense of giving money to people, right? Charity means charitable towards someone's frailties or someone's challenges. I wouldn't say tolerance is not the right word. I would say charity towards them and charity towards their understanding of like trying to be better, right? Giving them grace, being honest with them, talking to them, but giving them grace as well. Thank you, Brother Courtney, and thank you for being here. I truly appreciate it. Oh my gosh, darkness. There are so many. I'm not even going to go over those. There are so many, but a lot of them. The Scottish Bolshevik, please hit like and subscribe. I don't think I've seen you on the stream before. I mean, I think substance use is a variety of causes. I wouldn't say it's exclusively material conditions being lowered, but that can definitely play a role without question. That can definitely play a role in it, but I don't think it's the exclusive cause. So I think you need to keep that in mind as well. But it is one cause for sure. I think a lack of connection is another cause, and I think that's why Freemasonry is so valuable. It gives people connections, which can help them maybe not turn to substance abuse issues. So again, the way it's experienced, right? I'm telling you it's not a front, you're saying it is. So if you say you want the truth, but you're not going to believe me based on my experiences, then it seems to me that what you want is someone to confirm your current beliefs. Well, it could be work connections. It could be your favorite sports team. It could be friends. It could be neighbors. You just need connections of some sort. Dues vary by lodge. There is no set dues cost. It really depends on really where the lodge is located and how expensive it is for the lodge to operate. We have some lodges that are as little as $25 per year. Others, it's as much as $250, and some are even higher. Freemasonry is not like LinkedIn, but it's absolutely the case that, in some cases you may join Freemasonry and meet somebody who's looking for work, and you can find a job. It's happened. By definition, when you increase your social circle, you increase the likelihood that you will be able to find someone to hire you for a job. But what you need to keep in mind is that's not an exclusive thing to Freemasonry. There are many ways you can potentially increase your um, your social circle and your networking circle. You do not get a free out of jail card. We do not have bunk beds at lodges. Honestly, some lodges, it wouldn't shock me if they had showers, because back in the day, like Detroit, when they were building their Masonic building, they actually built it with a hotel area for Masons traveling from out of town. And there were showers in there, but they never actually opened it up. But the connections create a disadvantage. Well, I mean, Strategy Master, by definition, anytime you're creating connections, you are in theory disadvantaging others. I mean, that's just the nature of creating a connection. Like, I'm part of a creative writing circle or creative writing group. We meet once a month and we go over our creative written work. I'm now connected with those people, and I've helped them out in the past, and they've helped me out in the past. And, if they need something, I might try to help them out. I mean, you could argue that disadvantages other people who are not part of that writing circle, but it's kind of, you're always going to be creating, like every time I have a friend and help a friend, is that fair to people who aren't my friend? I mean, that's just the nature of creating networks and creating connections. I think the goal within Freemasonry should be to say we want as many people to be part of this as possible, but also we want as many people to be part of their own social groups as possible. So if you don't want to be a Mason, you can become an elk, and then you have the advantage of having connections through the Elks or through the Moose or through the Knights of Columbus or through the Rotary, right? That's got to be the goal. I do not get to watch movies before they are released. I wish I could. We get more people joining that way for sure. Erebus, please hit like and subscribe if you're new. There's a ton of Masonic things all around the world. I always say, keep your eyes open if you're a Freemason. It's very easy to be visiting a town or a city or a community and come across a Masonic cornerstone, for example. Keep your eyes open. The Elks are not the same as the Freemasons. They're a different organization. Rotary is also a different organization. There are many people who've been Elks and Moose and Rotaries and Freemasons. What's up, No Filter Boss? Thank you for being here. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're having a great day. Please take a moment, hit that like and subscribe button. They are not. They are different organizations. I actually talked about this before. The connection between the Knights Templars and the Freemasons came from Chevrolet Andrew Raymond, I can't think of his middle name now, who gave a speech connecting the Knights Templar to the Freemasons, but he created that as a way to kind of give new members something to look back on and be inspired by. It's not a literal connection. I have no idea. I know that some gays are in Freemasonry. Freemasonry does not discriminate based on sexual orientation, nor should it. Strategy, if you want to, solve the mystery, you should join Freemasonry, and then you can find out. I got a big forehead made. I'd ask you have you hit the like and subscribe button? And if you haven't, what's wrong with you? Hit that like and subscribe button. Be cool, I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, Masons were actually the members of the royal family of Hawaii were Freemasons, in a cool little note. Then you'll never know for sure, Strategy, which is okay, by the way. But you'll never know for sure. I don't know if we're obsessed with obelisks. We like the symbolism of an obelisk because it's a stone structure, and Freemasonry evolved from stonemasonry, kind of like we love pyramids for the same reason. We do not, JG. The population will be whatever it is. Freemasonry has nothing to do with it. I'd argue that if Freemasonry is prevalent in a community, population will likely go up because a strong Masonic foundation probably means a stronger community economically, socially, politically, and stronger communities, or at least more secure communities, where people aren't freaked out about the economy or the political situation. You're probably going to be more comfortable starting a family. Well, Freemasonry is not linked to the pharaoh. Freemasons do like a lot of Egyptian symbolism, but we like a lot of symbolism from a lot of different sources. Well, Knights of Columbus is a separate organization, RBA. They are a Catholic kind of fraternal group. I know a few Knights of Columbus, good dudes, good people. But I don't know what their connections are between Knights of Columbus and Knights Templar. You'd have to ask a Knight of Columbus. Knights of Columbus, they have members of all different races, to my knowledge, all different races and all different kind of backgrounds. I think that the genuine kind of connection is they all have to be of the Catholic faith, to my knowledge. Please hit that like and subscribe button. By the way, if you're new to the stream, we're going to be ending this stream shortly, but I will be back on next week. What about them? They are representative from King Solomon's Temple. We do not, JG. Some Masons may use substances, some may not. I don't. So, well, because it's Friday, so we got the weekend happening, but I'm going to be producing some written content. That's okay, the Waits. You can think that, but you're incorrect. Well, you can, but you're not going to know everything about it. A big part of Freemasonry and, truly knowing about it is experiencing yourself. It's kind of like riding a bicycle. You can read everything there is to read about riding a bicycle and watch videos about riding a bicycle. Until you've actually ridden the bicycle, you'll never truly know what it's like, right? Oh, the Friday song. Well, there's a couple reasons, ECO Cypher. The first is tradition. Freemasons are big in tradition. It's always been traditional to need the belief in a supreme being, and that bonds us to the past and future by maintaining that requirement. The other reason is it helps maintain the obligation. So you take an obligation. It's the same reason why in a court of law, they don't just have you swear to tell the truth, they would have you swear to tell the truth on a Bible or a Quran or whatever. The reason being, the idea being, if you believe in a supreme being, like God, swearing on the Bible, you're less likely to lie because you've not just given your word to the people in the room, but to your God, your supreme being. And that will be a stronger mark upon your conscience. Within Freemasonry, because there's obligations, it's the same idea. You're taking obligation to something greater than yourself. And you're more likely to recognize the severity and importance of maintaining it if you believe in a supreme being. And at the end of the day, you may just lie and say you do and not, and so be it. You can only do so much. You can just do so much. But it's those two reasons. However, I would always point out the way Freemasons define supreme being is mostly very liberal, which means a lot of times people who may traditionally be considered like an atheist might become a Freemason. Like me, I think a lot of people would consider me an atheist, even though I would consider myself believing in a supreme being. Again, I don't think it does. I mean, I don't know what satanic symbols are referring to. Like, I've got all these symbols here. I don't think any of them are satanic. Well, when I say liberal, I don't mean liberal as in like liberal politically. I mean liberal as in expansive, right? So like if you're going to season something liberally, it means you lose a lot of seasoning. It's expansive. If you define something liberally, it means you have a bigger definition than if you define something conservatively or narrowly. I have never met a satanic Freemason. I once talked to a Satanist who was interested in being a Freemason, but after I talked to him about Freemasonry and told him what it was, he told me he wouldn't be able to join because Freemasonry was separate from Satanism, or Freemasonry did not align with satanic values, is what he told me. And he never ended up joining because in Satanism, you are the highest good, is what he told me. Whereas within Freemasonry, it's not about the individual. The highest good is beyond oneself. You're there for something greater than yourself as an individual. So he ended up not joining. I've never met a satanic Freemason. The T is for my godchild, in honor of my godchild. And the pink color is because of Bret the Hitman Hart, greatest professional wrestler, or one of the greats. The sun does for sure, and the moon. They have some connections, symbolism within Freemasonry. The idea of, for example, the worshipful master in a lodge sits in the east, and he sits in the east to represent the sun rising to open the day. That represents the master, whereas the senior warden sits in the west. That represents the sun setting, the end of the meeting. I've never seen any Masons do any rituals on the full moon. Many Masons believe in Jesus. Many Masons believe in Allah. Many Masons are Jewish. Many Masons are Hindu or Sikh. Freemasonry is not a religion, right? So there is no particular religious belief within Freemasonry. And we are not being used to fulfill Lucifer's mission. I don't even know if Lucifer has a mission or what that means. We are fulfilling a mission to try to build a better world through the application of brotherly love, relief, and truth. That's what I would say. Others would say they have no mission to being a Freemason. They're a Freemason because they like it, which is good enough. Not everything needs to have a mission behind it, Luciferian or otherwise. I mean, I love coffee, so I hope it's never a banned substance. I'd be very sad and very tired if that was the case. Because Freemasonry our coffee is wonderful. You need coffee beforehand, that's for sure. Maybe not after, but you need coffee beforehand to get ready for it. In some cases, in some instances. All right, guys, this has been a lot of fun. We're going to be ending this stream because I got to do some stuff, get ready for this weekend. It's going to be an exciting, fun weekend, but I will talk to you all soon. See y'all later. Well, we don't keep it a secret, the Waits experience. I'm here talking about it. So I don't know how much more. We have private elements of the rituals, but I've talked about why that is. It's no different than having a private family recipe, right? If you had a recipe that belonged to your grandparents, went to your parents, went to you, you're not going to share it with the world because maintaining the shared knowledge of that recipe within the family bonds you to your past and future generations. You know, I talk a lot about Freemasonry, but the rituals and the private rituals therein, that's something that bonds me to my brothers. There's two ways to bond people: shared experiences or shared knowledge. Our rituals do both, but if you share them outside of the group to just anybody, then it no longer has that bonding capacity or bonding capability. All right, guys, thank you so much. I'll talk to you all soon.